That brings us to 8:30 in time for our 8:30 High Beam this morning as we talk with the doc. And this morning's Talk with the Doc is brought to you by Mako's Pharmacy at 240 East 3rd Street in downtown New Yorksville. Mako's Pharmacy is your local pharmacy with a caring and knowledgeable staff, and they are focused on your health and wellness. And of course, Dr. Timothy McKnight is our doc who we will be talking with today. So good morning, as always.
Good morning.
Good to see you. How's things? I know that you'd put yourself on a bit of a weight loss regimen, and last week, -9, so that was a great start.
Yeah, -9 last week, -2 this week. You know, it's still going in the right direction, and most people know when you lose weight, you lose a lot of water weight the first couple days, and so still, when you lose that much weight, you do feel better in your clothes, and it was motivating. So, but now it's the tough work, when when you're not really seeing much on the scales, but that's fat loss, and so that goes slower. 2 pounds a week is about as good as most people can do.
Well, good. So you're on target. And we talked about metabolism last week.
Yeah, we talked about how to rev up in the metabolism last week, but the flip side is, that's the burning the calories, but the flip side is the calories you put in your mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And
we have to have a certain amount to sustain.
Right. And, in graduate school, I was a nutrition major and working on my doctorate in nutrition. So it was always a calorie is a calorie. It doesn't really matter where the calories come from. But it turns out that I don't think that's true. I think calories from certain foods are more detrimental for weight loss than others. And really the key to understanding what happens with fat, whether you're gaining it or losing it, is understanding the hormone that drives your body to either make fat or to burn fat, and that's insulin. So when your insulin levels are high, you're making fat. It's a signal to your body to make fat. And if it's low, you'll be able to burn fat as long as your calories are not in excess of what you need. So I think that's why the keto diet has become so popular, and it is effective in helping people lose weight, because when you're on a keto diet, your carb intake is less than 25 grams a day. That's really, really low in carbs. You can't even have half a slice of bread on a keto diet.
I looked at a potato and got more than that. So.
Yeah. And potatoes aren't necessarily bad, but they're carbs.
Yeah.
And so you just have to understand that. But I think the problem with the keto diet is 25 grams a day or less of carbs will clearly you'll lose fat with that, but you also lose muscle. And you don't want to lose muscle, because we talked about that last week. Muscle is the best organ for burning fat. The more muscle you have, the better you burn fat. So there's a price to be paid for being too strict on this. So I've looked at this, and there's a lot of different programs out there, from keto to, the milk weight loss diet where all you drink is milk. So all kinds of extremes. And I really think the best, if you're trying to lose weight, is 50 to 75 grams of carbs a day. Women might need to get closer to 50 grams or slightly less, and men maybe between the 50 and 75 range. If you do that, you're going to lose weight. The challenge is, well, what am I going to eat if I'm not eating carbs? Because vegetables are carbs, and I certainly would recommend that you eat vegetables, but you get some carbs from vegetables, and even fruits. Berries are a carb source, so you have to be really careful that you don't eat too much fruit, because then you'll exceed that limit. So what people don't understand is that fat is actually a good way to feel satiated or full without driving the insulin level up. So we used to think, if I eat fatty foods, I'm going to gain weight. No, if you eat carbs, you'll gain weight. Yeah. So it's okay to have fat. It's okay to have some avocados. It's okay to have canola oil or olive oil or butter or coconut oil. Those are all good oils and fats, and they'll help you to feel full and satiated, so it makes it a little bit easier. And the other thing I've learned is, all of us like to eat food because it tastes good. Yeah. Well, if you're cutting the sugar out, well, put the fat in. That usually tastes good, and add some salt or some seasoning, because that at least your taste buds are getting something that they're looking for, craving, because nobody can sustain themselves on a totally bland diet long term. You've got to have some taste.
And the body generally does crave the three things you talked about, right? Salt, sugar, and fatty substance.
Yes, it's true. And it seems like a lot of people either have they crave sweet foods or they crave salty foods. And unfortunately, I'm a sweet craver. But my wife is the salty fatty foods.
Well,
So
you get that caramel salt ice cream, then you guys are both good.
that's true. That's a dangerous combination.
It
Yeah.
sure is.
But it's easy to say this, but it's much harder to do it. And what I've learned is you really have to do this well. You have to track your intake. So there's a couple apps that you can get for your phone. I use the Lose It app, like Lose It, Lose Weight. There's the MyFitnessPal app is another popular app, and both of these allow you to scan foods with the barcode scanner. You can go into most major restaurant chains and pick something from the menu and find those foods, those meals on your app. And you can enter those. So it gets a little tricky when you're making your own meals and you're putting your own recipes together, casseroles. You got to enter all of that. And then keep track of it. But I found it's been really helpful for me, and I've learned a lot about my own eating just by following what I'm doing from day to day and looking like, boy, I got 80 grams of carbs today. How did I do that? And then when I go back and I look, I'm like, geez, okay, that makes sense. So it's something that is it takes time, but it's part of the commitment to losing weight and part of the awareness of what you're doing.
You're doing this, and you have a family. So is there a lot of change, and does I'm guessing other people that eat with you, do they have to at home adhere to what you want to do?
Right now we're empty nesters, so it's easier that since kids aren't in the home and you're seeing them eat stuff that they can get away with. But for a long time my wife waited on me to get serious about eating when she was trying to do it, and now I waited on her, and I finally said, I can't wait. It's time for me to do something. And so I'm pretty much doing it on my own.
Okay.
10 minutes ago I was making my salad, putting it together, and I basically made my meals for the day. I know what I'm going to eat, and I've calculated it all out, and I know that I can't deviate or I'm going to be in excess of my carbs. So that's also part of it, is the planning. But it takes initiative, it takes a little bit of time, but it's really not that difficult. I mean, my salad today is a green salad mix with some feta cheese and some sunflower seeds and some cherry tomatoes, and what else did I put in it? Some strawberries and an avocado, half of an avocado. And you put some, salad dressing on that, and that's pretty filling. Sometimes I'll add chicken to it. Last night I had chicken on it, so it's pretty filling. And I'll have a handful, or a fourth of a cup today of mixed nuts and seeds and some dried fruit. So that's also satisfying, and it's nutritious.
And I got to tell you, because this is radio, Dr. McKnight looks good, and he doesn't come in grumpy. So the side effects that you may worry about are not there.
Well, yeah, I got up early this morning and went to the gym and I worked out. I'm starting this whole routine back in the weight room. Yeah. I was at the gym at 6:15, 6 o'clock, felt pretty good. But by the time I got home, I'm thinking, man, am I tired? That was a rough one. But it's just habit. I'll get to it and I'll get there. But it's a commitment of all those things. But when you start having more energy and you feel like you're getting healthier, it's motivating and it's kind of self-sustaining. But the first week is tough. You got to really prepare yourself for those first 3 or 4 days when you're really craving the carbs and looking at them. You got to almost remove them from sight.
I think that's a great point. You got to prepare, or you're going to fail right away.
Absolutely, and it takes some energy to prepare. But I just got to the point where I could not continue to fail, because I was letting myself down and letting everybody else that I'm trying to encourage to get healthy. I couldn't be a hypocrite and say one thing and do another.
Thank you, because that's why this is so meaningful to me, because you're living it right now and telling how that's going. If you were coming in here, finishing off a cigarette and weighing about 200 pounds too much, it would be hard to take that advice.
Well, we all have our struggles. We all have our vices, and some are more visible than others, but I just feel so much better. And I didn't want to get a new set of clothes either. It was getting to that point
Practicality.
where I had 3 pair of pants that I was wearing almost all the time, and I said, I can't do this anymore. So, but I'll tell you, the thing that helped me the most was kind of just letting this secret out to the people in my Fit for Life class that I was trying to lead. It's like, I can't hide this anymore. And that was a weight that just lifted off my shoulders, and I'm like, okay, now I'm responsible. Now I'm accountable.
Accountable to them,
I have to giving them an update every week. And that's one thing I tell anyone who's trying to change behavior or trying to create a good habit is make yourself accountable to somebody. Find a coach, somebody that you have to report to, not somebody that's going to let you off the hook and say, everybody has, it's hard for all of us, but somebody that will say, hold you accountable and put that gentle pressure on you that, you can't let them down. Once you do that and you're giving your weekly or daily reports back to them, I think it's very empowering, and it keeps you on your toes when you feel weak and you want to give in to something you shouldn't have.
Great advice. I tell you what, I know we're going to do different subjects as the weeks come on, but we'll get a tiny update on how you're doing.
Okay,
is that all right?
See, a little bit more pressure from you. That's probably
a little bit more
good.
Accountability.
Yeah, there you go.
Hey, thanks for being here as always.
You're welcome.
Dr. Tim McKnight here as we talk with the doc this morning, brought to you by Mako's Pharmacy.